It seems that knife crime is always in the headlines. At least 35 people have been fatally stabbed in London alone this year, and there have been over 37,000 recorded knife offences across the UK. Now, for one of us, every time we hear of a new stabbing, it brings back painful memories. For you especially, Linda.
Yeah, because it'll be 10 years on the 29th of June this year that they went out on the 28th, Louis and Ben Kinsella and a group of friends. They'd all finished their GCSEs and were all pleased to get it all behind them. And they were going to a place in Islington, and we helped them get fake ID because, I mean, it was a controlled environment. There was security there and everything. My husband took Louis to the event and was going to pick him up afterwards. There was a bit of an argument with a couple of boys earlier on that night, nothing to do with our kids at all. And then as Ben left that night, he was walking along the street and 3 youths attacked him very violently. They stabbed him 11 times. Louis heard that Ben was called in, and he went back and held Ben. He took his jumper off, and put it into what he thought was the one stab wound. And then my husband arrived, and Louis was on the floor holding Ben. And an ambulance came and took Ben away, and Louis was taken to the police station with Mark. And while he was being questioned, because obviously he was covered in Ben's blood, a policeman came in and said, "We're now treating this as a murder inquiry." So that's how he found out that Ben had died.
Ben had died. And you know what, Linda? It's 10 years ago, which I can't believe, because it feels like yesterday. But for you, the emotion... Even now, the hurt,
and all of those families that have lost children, and it's just on the increase. So many kids, it's like it's every single day.
So it's a death sentence, really, for all of you.
It is, yeah, it is, and it's something that, you know, if your child is ill, you have to come to terms with losing them sometimes. But when it's something that's so pointless, you know, kids are picking up their car keys, they're picking up their phones, and they're picking up knives. When is it going to stop? What are we going to do? There needs to be more deterrent.
What would you like?
I'd like to see more police on the street. I'd like to see... There's an exhibition that the Kinsella family have done that they take to schools. So never mind your woodwork classes or your cookery classes, take something like this exhibition into the schools and show the kids the consequences of what taking that knife out with you could be. That knife, it could not only ruin the life of the person that you've killed, but it ruins your family's lives, everybody, the whole community. Honestly, I mean, you go back, there's Damilola Taylor, Stephen Lawrence, there's so many kids. It's like, it used to be an unusual thing to hear about, but now it's like an everyday occurrence.
Isn't
and it's
right
just
in saying that the people who attacked Ben could end up getting early parole soon and be out of jail. Is that something that you feel strongly about? Is increasing
really
sentences?
Strongly about it, because obviously they were violent. I mean, to stab a young boy 11 times, they obviously, you know, sending them to prison, that's not going to take that violence away from them. So they could be out, and I would worry that they were on the streets again. I think.
Well, don't you think that's where we should start, though? Because for me, what I don't understand are these life sentences, and then they go with a minimum of 20 years. And I think, surely life should be like... You've taken a life.
Yeah.
You should be away for life.
You don't deserve to live a life again.
I think what's happened in the 10 years that Linda's been talking about is that knife crimes become normalised amongst children, and it's something that they just accept, and the statistics are shocking. In the last 3 years, stab wounds have increased by 93%. In the 10 to 14-year-old age group.
That's what I said, the age group has gone down, and 9 to 11-year-olds are carrying knives.
Where is everybody? You know, I know this might sound like a ridiculous question, but where is the Mayor of London? What are we doing about this? Why does it not feel like a huge, urgent subject that we need everybody getting on board and all heads together to work out?
Just London, though.
No,
it's all over the country.
It's all over
because
the countries.
You talked about it in Manchester. It's in all our big cities. And one thing I did hear on the news this week was they were talking about how Glasgow was the stabbing capital of the United Kingdom, but huge resources were put into looking at kids before they joined gangs, working with children from the age of 10, So, you know, looking at vulnerable kids who are more likely to get drawn into the gang culture.
And that's what we need to do all over the country.
We were talking about this earlier, weren't we, Linda? Where are all the youth clubs?
There is nowhere for kids to go
anymore. Where is the care in the community? Where are people looking to the problem? Like
yeah,
you said,
I
right
agree with all
beginning?
of that, but also where is the discipline? Where are the consequences? You know, I never went to a youth club, but I never walked out with a knife. You know, and I didn't live in an affluent area. I lived in a really poor area where we grew up. My mum and dad were poor, and I had loads of friends and we'd be out all day. I don't know one of my friends that went out with a knife, and we never went to a youth club. We just know if we got in trouble, my mum and dad were going to kill me. You know, that was worse. Or a policeman could come up and really tell you off. The thing is nowadays, there's no consequences for kids.
No, there's not.
Just
And there's
no,
not
there's
enough
no
police on the
discipline
streets
anywhere.
anymore. There's no bobbies walking the beat anymore.
No.
There's no deterrence or anything.
And that's not the police's fault either, because
No, it's not.
there's no resources
But
for
they
them,
also
you
get
know.
4 hours training on it. So, I mean, what are they going to learn in 4 hours?
I do think, though, that schools have got to have metal detectors. It's a big step, and there is some government money for metal detectors in some schools. But I think that, as a matter of course, all schools in inner city areas throughout the United Kingdom should have, number one, metal detectors, and number two, all mobile phones have got to be removed at the school gates and locked up.
Yeah.